Okay, so this is the age-old problem of getting spreadsheet information into SharePoint, and I'm going to show you how to do this in a couple of ways using Access. So we're going to import information from Excel into Access, where it can be easily manipulated and then pushed into SharePoint lists. So here we have Excel opened, and this is my information that I want to get into Access and then ultimately into SharePoint. So let me close this down and go into Access. So here I am in Access, and what I want to do is import that information from Excel. So notice I'm in the External Data tab, Import Link, click Excel, find that Excel file, which is right here, Product Inventory. This is the worksheet, so it's found the columns. Click Next, make the first row the column heading. Don't need a primary key. I'm going to call this SharePoint Desktop, just so I know that it's SharePoint information on which is actually saved on the desktop. So this is importing in, and it just is imported in, and this is my table. If I open it up, this is my Excel data in Access, and this is the information which we're going into SharePoint. So the data from Excel has been imported into Access, and what I want to do is just do a one-off quick and dirty and get this data imported into SharePoint. So with the table here, if I do a right mouse click, export to a SharePoint list. So I'm going to export this to my SharePoint list. I'm just going to call it products. And this is importing, so this is similar to what you can do with the import spreadsheet process. Of course, if there's any errors, it comes up with the line of the error, so it's better for handling bigger pieces of data. This is my spreadsheet here, and it's now in the table products. So let me just add a few items here. So what I want to do is bring the products table into Access. So let me go back into Access, External Data, More, SharePoint List. Let's choose my SharePoint site, Products. So I'm now bringing down that products table into the from SharePoint into Access. So even though the data is the same, exclude my minor alterations, in the products table there are two data sources, the SharePoint desktop table and the products. And the products table here links up into the SharePoint server. If I do a right mouse click, open, this is the data here. And if I put in no, go back to home, hit refresh, and now went back to the SharePoint server, clicked refresh, the no is there. So you can see that there's a link here between the two tables. So let me just delete a few tables here, or a few rows in the table. Now it's not uncommon that the business unit may give you multiple sets of the same data, which is slightly different. So you just want to do a quick and easy appending process to your existing data information, and you can't do this with the import spreadsheet because that basically creates a whole new list. So you use Access to do this. So let me go back into Access, and if I hit refresh, so the products table has got some information here, which is a subset of the SharePoint desktop table. So if I wanted to do another import of that SharePoint desktop information into the products table, I have to do what's known as a query. So I click create query wizard. In my show table, let's show that desktop table, and what we want to do is we want to append, and we're going to choose append products, which is that SharePoint list. Highlight these fields, bring them down on to the lower part of the screen. These are the fields which will be appended into the SharePoint list. And now if I click run, this will append the information in the SharePoint desktop table into the products table. If I go back to the products table, hit refresh, you can now see that information has been appended in. So what I want to do is create some changes in the SharePoint desktop table, and if a criteria is met, make those changes in the product table, which is the SharePoint list. So I'm opening up the SharePoint desktop table. If discontinued is yes here, and yes, add in XX. So we're going to do a query or an import, and if discontinued equals yes, we're going to update the desktop to the description field. So just what I'll do is I will make this YYY, and you'll confirm that this is not importing all the rows. It's only going to import the rows where discontinued equals yes, and it will update the description field. So let me save and close this. Create, do a query, bring both field tables onto the canopy. So what we want to do is match the discontinued fields. It's an update, and we're going to update the description in the products field. If I double click on that, it drops, and that is going to update. If I do a right mouse click, build, this is the SharePoint desktop. That's the table that's just been modified, and that didn't take. You need to double click. So at the moment, if I just clicked run here, this will basically say, well, where the description field, where the discontinued field equals the same, we'll update the description field, which is not quite what we want. We actually want to do it where the discontinued field equals yes. So I have to do the criteria. Let me click there, build, choose my table, where the criteria of SharePoint desktop where discontinued equals yes. So if I click run, now that run, let me go back into the SharePoint world. I've clicked that refresh, and you can see where that discontinued equals yes, the description was actually updated, and that YYY field is not in this description because it didn't meet the criteria. So what I've just shown you in this very short introductory video is how to append information and how to update information.